Hey, Genki Call here with your Soulforge offerings for the week of July 3rd, 2023. But before we start, I want to show you what we have upcoming in the Soulforge. Thanks to the amazing King Ollie. Thank you so much for doing this every week, King Ollie. There are 32 mythics left in this mythic cycle. We have to go through every one of these before the other mythics will show up. For instance, Ironhawk will be back in as soon as all of these have been gone through. We get 4 a week, so there you go. It's going to be a little bit before other stuff comes back around. But as far as stuff we've got coming up, Evendra's coming up, Fountain of Stars, Phoenix is coming up, nice. Yeah, Megavore and let's see, Sycorax, awesome. I love the Onyx Giant, really nice. Tina 9000 is coming up. You know, we've got some stuff coming, but for what we have right now, let's go over it. Let's go over them, rather. Let's see. So, as far as legendaries go, the Summer Imp, this is a seasonal imp. This is in chests right now. So, you have a chance to pull this from keys, but these are seasonal, only come about. The only way to get the imps is when they're in the chest during their season, through legendary tasks out of season, or through the Soulforge out of season. So, deal scatter damage, create 7 red gems. If an enemy dies, gain 8 magic. You also gain 8 magic on every yellow gem match. So that is the gimmick with the imps, is that they gain magic on a certain color. 8 magic on a certain color. Most effective with the winter imp, who is does true damage, but yeah, I'm forgetting something. I was going to say this is for completionists, really, except for the winter imp. I think that's the only one that's really super useful. This is for a completionist because there is no primal kingdom. This will not help towards power levels. Alright, the Great Maw. This is what people used before High King Irongut existed. Devour an enemy. Straight up, you're going to devour them unless they're immune to it. There are ways around that, mostly, but devour an enemy. Create 8 yellow and 8 brown gems, 1 cast only. So, yeah, you can stick them at the front of the team and eat something and then kill them with skulls, and that's about how it works. 2 life on 4+ gem matches, and gain 2 skills on all skull gem matches as well, so. Let's see, there should be some more legendaries in here. Yes, there are. Here we go. Vidar the Vast. This is another that devours. Choose an enemy. There is a 10% chance to devour them, boosted by blue gems on the board, with a ×4 boost ratio. So, if there are 10 blue gems on the board, that's a 50% chance to devour, because the 10 will give you 40%. There's already a 10%, so that's 50% chance if there are 10 gems on the board. Otherwise, you're just going to do damage, but if you run this with a heavily blue team, your chances of devouring are quite good. Also, you deal double skull damage versus stunned enemies. He's immune to stun himself, and he gets some extra life and attack on match 4s. And yes, last one is Captain Saltclaw. This guy does heavy splash damage. If you ever want to know what splash damage does, it's right here on the right-hand side. And then heavy splash damage to 2 random enemies and boosted by blue gems. Also, give 2 magic to all rogue allies when matching 4+ gems, and he is greedy, gain 2 bonus gold on 4+ gem matches. Unfortunately, he is not a merchant, so you don't get bonus gold, or you don't get a boost to your gold cap, but you do get a lot of gold if you have 4+ gem matches with him, so. Anyway, let's go over the legendaries. No, I just went over the legendaries. I meant the mythics. Always here, always here, always here. Pharaoh Nefertani. I have mixed feelings about her. Damage to an enemy boosted by death-marked enemies ×10 for... So you can get an additional 40 damage if they're all death-marked, because it's a ×10 boost ratio. And curse and disease all enemies. Plus, you death mark a random enemy when matching 4+ gems. And she is a necromancer, so bonus souls from battle. The reason I have mixed feelings about her is because of the death mark. The way death mark works is The very first turn when you apply the death mark, it will not take effect. So if she applies death mark, they have a turn, it comes back to you, and she applies death mark to them again, it resets the timer. And so that death mark will never take effect as long as she keeps death marking them. So, it's, anyway, those are my thoughts on Pharaoh Nefertani. As far as Quetzalma goes, this can loop very nicely. Scatter damage boosted by a chosen gem color, then create 10 yellow gems and remove all gems of the chosen color. So you've got 15 blue on the, we'll say 10 because it's easier math. You have 10 blue gems on the board, for instance. You decide to remove the blue gems, you'll get an extra 30 scatter damage. At the end of the day, it's not very much scatter damage. But since you're removing all of those, you might get some more yellow on the board just from the gems falling where those blue ones were. Plus, you're going to create 10 yellow gems in addition. I hope I'm making sense. And if you have the light storm, you're a lot more likely to get those yellow gems falling, and that'll be cool. 20% chance to resurrect myself with full mana when I die. So some people like to put Quetzalma at the front of the team, let her die, and hopefully resurrect. So it's only 20%, but it can work out. Next up, these are always here, we have Mithrillion. Mithrillion explodes a 3x3 block. He's exploding that block, which means he's actually going to take out a 5x5 block off of the board. Gains armor, bury a random ally for every skull destroyed. He also reflects skull damage. So here's what you want to do. He has spell damage reduction, no skull damage reduction, but when you cast him, you're going to end up getting barriered because you're going to target skulls, right? You're going to want to target, so there are 4 skulls if you have 4 troops left in that 5x5 area. He's going to have reflect, and then you let them hit you with skulls. Even though you're barriered, it's still going to reflect 75% of the skull damage. It removes your barrier, but then you've done damage to them without doing anything. So that's how Mithrillion works for you. Next up, we have Libara. Libara, it's an either or, and you don't get to choose. If you were able to choose, like you do with the Vulpecea troops, is it Vulpecea? I think it's Vulpecea. Anyway, if you were able to choose, it would be a lot better, but this is an either or. You might do damage to all enemies, or you might add life to all allies. I don't like not knowing what my troop is going to do, so I don't like the troop. It can be powerful in delves. Either spell is going to be useful, but I want to know whether I'm attacking or I'm healing. Nah, don't like it. 4 life to all allies when matching yellow gems, spell damage reduction by 50%. So, I believe that's it. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Now on to the weapons. The most important thing to know is Rope Dart is in the Forge this week. Very important. If you don't have it yet, you must have this weapon. We'll get down to it in a minute. We'll just do it now because it's towards the top. Rope Dart. Eliminate all armor for an enemy. Pull them to the front. Do damage. Entangle them also. That's what this tangling does. And this quick, that means you also get an extra turn. Unless you're frozen, it's going to do all of those things, provided that you have it tempered. But fantastic, fantastic weapon. You must have this. It's one of the most powerful weapons in the game. Get this weapon. Absolutely. If you can't do anything else, get this weapon if you don't have it yet. Yeah. That's what I have to say about that. So, Beastly Bow. Damage to an enemy boosted by beast allies, then create a mix of 6 green and yellow gems for each beast ally. It is looks like it's going to death mark the, I'm sorry, not death mark, it's going to hunter's mark the first enemy. But yeah, the green and yellow gems, and it doesn't take either one of those colors, so it doesn't feed back into itself, unfortunately, but if you're using the all beast team, it's something that you can use. Next up, we have the Cat's Paw. This does damage to an enemy boosted by Pride Lands allies, specifically Pride Lands, and create a mix of 6 green and red gems for each Pride Lands ally. A lot of red in Pride lands. I'm trying to think which ones use green, but anyway, green and red, if you're using a Pride Lands team that uses those two colors, it can be very good, especially since red is one of the colors, and if you want to be from Pride Lands, you have to use Sunspear, and that has a persistent red storm, so that could be very efficient for that kind of team. Next up is a cheapo Spear of the Pride. If you can't if you can, I recommend always getting the cheapo 75 diamond ones because you don't want to get weapon blocked. Never let yourself get weapon blocked because we don't know when we're coming back to the kingdom. It could be in 3 months. It may not be for a year. So try not to get weapon blocked. It is the hardest counter to getting your power levels up in the game. I think I made a video. Yes, I made a video about that. So, and also, I'm going to put some helpful videos at the end of this video. Towards the last 15 seconds, you'll have some links you can click on. Anyway, remove all red gems. It won't do anything. You won't get any mana out of it, but it will boost the spell if the enemies from Pride Lands or the battles in Pride Lands deal double damage. And yeah, it's cheap. So 75 diamonds. Next up is the Black Mane's Claw. Damage to an enemy boosted by Rockshaw allies, that's any Rockshaw from any kingdom, then create a mix of 6 red and brown gems for each Rockshaw ally. If you had to choose between this one and the Pride Lands weapon, I would go for this one because you're not restricted to one kingdom. It's all Rockshaw across the board. So I tend to think that these are a little bit more efficient if you have to choose. This also does not feed into itself, so anyway, Twin Claws. I love this weapon. I love this weapon with my Hatir and Scroll team especially. I love splody things, as you know. If you're a viewer, you know I love the splody things. This one does not feed into itself, but you know, it's exploding the board. You're exploding all of the green gems. You're going to get more mana back from the explosion. You also grant a random status effect to all beast allies and then summon a beast troop. I'll try to remember to put the Hatir and Scroll video up towards the end as well. And then we have, nope, always here, always here. It seems like this is always going to be here. And, we do have one more cheapo weapon, and that is Shadow Hunter's Claw. This is going to do damage to the first 2 enemies, and if Shadow Hunter's on my team, gain 5 attack. It's also going to bleed the first enemy. So anyway, that is it for this Soulforge video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments or just want to say hi, leave me a comment down below. Have a wonderful day. Check out the videos popping up on the screen now, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye!